Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss a Thomson model under the chapter Structure of an Atom for class +1. Thomson model. J.J. Thomson in 1904. J.J. Thomson in 1904 proposed a model. It was the first atomic model to explain the structure of an atom. According to Thomson, atom is a positively charged sphere. According to Thomson, atom is a positively charged sphere in which electrons are embedded. Atom is a positively charged sphere in which electrons are embedded. This model is similar to watermelon model or plum pudding model, like black seeds are embedded in the reddish part of a watermelon, or plums are distributed on a pudding. So it was the first atomic model given by J.J. Thomson. What he have proved? He proved the neutrality of an atom. Atom is an neutral particle. But what was the limitation? If you notice, how can electron and positively charged particles can be present together? According to charge theory, if positive and negative charge are present together without any distance, if you notice, if two charged particles are present, they must be separated by a distance. If electrons and protons or positive charged particles are present together, then it means it will never exist. It means atom is unstable. So this model was flopped, and next model came into existence, that was a Rutherford model. So what is the limitation of Thomson model? Question is here. You will say positive and negative charge can't be present together, they must be separated by a distance r. If they are present together in such a manner, it means atom will never exist, or atom is highly unstable. Clear? This is the first model. Second model came, that was Rutherford. Rutherford model of an atom. He noticed the Thomson model. According to Thomson, atom is a positively charged sphere. To study that, he performed an experiment called alpha scattering experiment. Alpha scattering experiment, and he placed a setup for this experiment. How was the setup? This is a lead slit, small aperture between two lead metals, and he taken thin gold foil, and he taken source of positive radiations, alpha rays. He obtained it from 2 helium plus 2. Helium, noble gas. And to observe the radiations, he placed a circular screen, zinc sulfide screen. This was the experimental setup of Rutherford. First, he used alpha radiation source of positive radiations. He passed alpha radiations from a lead slit. Why slit is used? To increase the beam intensity, or to make the beam fine. And passed the radiations from gold foil. To observe the radiations, he used a circular screen made up of zinc sulfide. Now question is, why zinc sulfide screen is used? It has the remarkable property to convert the coming particles kinetic energy to visible light. The alpha radiations will come and they will have definitely kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy will be converted into visible light. That's why zinc sulfide screen is used. So what was the observations? So radiations are passed, and he observed radiations on a screen. Let me explain this with the structure of an atom. As we know, atom is a spherical in shape, and here we have again screen. So first observation was most of the radiation passed straight. He observed that most of the radiation passed straight without any deviation. It means, and he concluded that atom has a large empty area where no particles are present. You can say why this radiation passed straight, because there is no particle comes in their path, so these radiations pass straight without any deviation. It means atom has a large empty space, that is called extranuclear space. Second observation, he noted that few radiations deflected with a small angle. Few radiations deflected with a small angle. Second observation was few radiations deflected with a small angle, and he concluded that why these radiations deflect, because they might meet a positive charge somewhere in an atom, and they experienced repulsion from that positive charge. So second conclusion, atom has some positive charge in it. Second observation, second conclusion. Third observation was one radiation out of 20,000. One out of 20,000 radiations strike with an atom and return to its original path. One radiation out of 20,000 strike with an atom and returns to its original path. And somehow Rutherford concluded that that radiation experienced a great repulsion force, and there must be a rigid body present in atom. And later on he concluded that positively charged body was a nucleus. So nucleus is present in atom in a teeny area, in a small area. Majority of the area of atom is empty. Clear? So what were the conclusion? Let's see again. First, atom has a large empty area, and he divided area into two parts: extranuclear area and nuclear area. Extranuclear area where no particles are present, and nuclear area where positive charge is present. This was the first conclusion. Second, he defined nucleus. He defined nucleus as it is a centralized rigid body containing all the positive charge. So what is nucleus? Nucleus is a centralized rigid body containing all positive charge. This conclusion came from the observation that one radiation strike with an atom and return to its original path, means deviation angle was 180 degree. Clear? Third, he concluded that nucleus is present in a small area only. Nucleus is present in a small area only, and he gave a relation between radius of an atom and radius of a nucleus. Ra stands for radius of atom, Rn stands for radius of a nucleus. He gave a relation. How? He concluded, he examined radius of an atom is in range of 10 raised to power minus 10 meter, and radius of nucleus is in range of 10 raised to power minus 15 meter. So if I divide them, Ra by Rn, 10 raised to power minus 10 by 10 raised to power minus 15 equal to 10 raised to power 5. So major conclusion was here, radius of atom is 10 raised to power 5 times higher than that of a radius of a nucleus. You can now clearly understand atom is a bigger particle and nucleus is present only in a small area. Why? Because radius of atom is 10 raised to power 5 times higher than that of radius of a nucleus. Means radius of atom is 1 lakh times higher than that of radius of a nucleus. Clear? Next we can conclude the relation between volume of atom and volume of a nucleus. That will be our fifth conclusion. Volume of atom Va equal to 4 by, the atom is sphere, so volume of sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube, 4 by 3 pi 10 raised to power minus 10 ka cube. Radius of atom is 10 raised to power 10, so 4 by 3 pi 10 raised to power minus 30. This was the first equation, Va. Volume of nucleus 4 by 3 pi r cube. Radius of nucleus is 10 raised to power minus 15. 4 by 3 pi 10 raised to power minus 45. This is the second equation. If I divide first by second, Va by Vn equal to 4 by 3 pi 10 raised to power minus 30 divided by 4 by 3 pi 10 raised to power minus 40. So conclusion is here 45 minus 45 here will be positive. So volume of atom is 10 raised to power 15 times higher than that of a volume of a nucleus. Radius of atom and radius of nucleus conclusion, and volume of atom and volume of nucleus conclusion. These are the two major contribution of a Rutherford model. Clear? Next, he concluded the relation of radius of atom with the atomic mass. This is sixth conclusion. Radius of any atom is directly proportional to the mass of any atom and raised to power 1 by 3. And if we use proportional constant, R equal to R A e power 1 by 3. R is the Rutherford constant. R equal to R A power 1 by 3. It was again important conclusion. Clear? And he finally concluded that this is similar to solar model, like our planet. Atom has a centralized positive charge body called nucleus, and electrons are revolving around it. Clear? The solar model is a Rutherford model, and plum pudding model or watermelon model was the Thomson model. But again, this model has some limitation. One of the biggest limitation was this solar model explanation. Now I am going to explain the limitation. he said that atom has a positively charged nucleus in it, and electrons are revolving around it. But according to electromagnetic theory of charge, if a charged particles move in a spherical path, then it will continuously lose energy. And if electron is going to lose energy, then definitely it will follow a spiral path, and finally electron will enter in a nucleus. If a charged particles move in a spherical sphere, then it will lose energy and electron will follow a helix path, and definitely electron will come into the nucleus and making the atom unstable. If it is going to happen, then definitely it was a Thomson model again, and Thomson model was rejected. And the time taken by this electron to reach into the nucleus by following helix path is only 10 raised to power minus 3 seconds. Clear? So it was the limitation of Rutherford. Electrons can't be revolved like this. Clear? So after this electromagnetic theory came, wave theory came, and then Bohr model came. In next lecture we will discuss a Bohr model. Clear? That's it for today. Stay at home, keep learning, and don't forget to press the bell icon for further notification. And if you still didn't subscribe my channel, then please do a favor, subscribe it, and enjoy watching my videos and learning. Bye.